another case of state's lack of accountability, the country's aviation sector has suffered as Nepal has not been able to convince the European Union to lift the blacklisted imposed on Nepali sky. The scenario is more disturbing given that the ICAO has already lifted the ban, citing that Nepali sky has improved and meets the prerequisite guidelines. Good morning, I'm Sarah Chitrakar and these are the headlines of the hour. The ruling alliance to mount pressure on Chief Justice Rana to resign, Nepal Bar to protest at all the bar units for 2 hours beginning today. India commits to provide air route from Bhairawa, the new air routes to connect Janakpur with Patna and Bhairawa with Lucknow. A deal aimed at staving off dangerous climate change struck at the COP26 summit. More money pledged for developing countries to help them adapt to climate impacts. And New Zealand and Australia all set to add a new chapter to their trans-Tasman rivalry in the ICC T20 World Cup final later this evening. The ongoing agitation launched by Nepal Bar Association is going to affect regular hearings for 2 hours at the courts across the country today. The Nepal Bar Association has intensified its protest programs at all the bar units against Chief Justice Rana demanding his resignation. Nepal Bar General Secretary Linamani Paudel informed that the hearing will be affected for 3 days, 2 hours every day beginning today. Meanwhile, Chief Justice Rana is looking to schedule a full court meeting with the justices at the earliest. In the meantime, the 4 former university Vice-Chancellor Mahesh Upadhyay, Kedar Bhakta Mathema, Kamal Krishna Joshi and Nabin Prakash Jung Shah issued a press release seeking the government's interference to end the stalemate seen with the judiciary. The ruling alliance has started consultation amid a rising demand for the resignation of Chief Justice Cholendra Samsher Rana. The ruling parties are in a mindset to facilitate a scenario even as they are not clear on what steps should be taken to resolve the crisis. Sources have claimed that the government will mount pressure on Chief Justice Rana to resign rather than opt for parliamentary proceedings. More in this report.
Following widespread pressure from leaders in the ruling alliance, Prime Minister Sheh Bahadur Deuba on Saturday discussed the issue with the Attorney General and some ministers. Even as the government is not usually in a comfortable position to interfere with issues pertaining to judiciary, Prime Minister Deuba, in the capacity of executive chief and leading the Constitutional Council, can play an instrumental role in the Chief Justice episode. However, an outlet remains elusive as political forces in the ruling alliance are yet to come up with their stand on the issue. Meanwhile, the ruling alliance has reportedly reached a mindset to pressure Chief Justice Rana to resign rather than initiate parliamentary procedures. Efforts are underway to pressure the Chief Justice to resign from the next meeting of the top brass leaders. Prior to this, the leaders in the alliance had been opting out of the CJ debacle by harping that the issue of the judiciary should be settled internally. However, with the issue getting more complicated, the leaders are looking for political interference now. It should also be noted that the initiative from the ruling alliance has come close on heels of widespread criticism for their conspicuous silence.
India has committed to provide air route from Bhairawa during the bilateral talks held yesterday. Minister for Culture, Tourism and Civil Aviation Prem Ale, upon his arrival at Trivandrum International Airport yesterday, informed that India has been positive on providing air routes to the near completion Gautam Buddha Airport in Lumbini and Pokhara International Airport. During the 2-day bilateral talks, Nepal had demanded air routes connecting Janakpur to Patna and Bhairawa to Lucknow. The authorities from both the sides have said that an agreement would be reached on technical issues to open the new air routes. Nepal's aviation sector has been blacklisted by European Union for quite a long time now. Due to the lack of initiative from Nepali side, the EU has blacklisted Nepali sky for the past 8 years, despite International Civil Aviation Organization or ICAO already lifting the ban imposed on Nepal. The scenario has prevented Nepal from operating direct flights to European nations, which has further dented the commercialization of the country's aviation sector. The ICAO blacklisted Nepal in 2013, raising serious questions over the safety of Nepali sky. This was immediately followed by the ban from the European Union, which deemed Nepali sky as unsafe. The ICAO did lift the ban 4 years later, considering that Nepal's aviation sector had improved significantly. However, the ban from the EU has persisted ever since. The national flag carrier Nepal Airlines earlier operated flights to Frankfurt, Germany, Paris, and London as major European destinations. However, these flights were later halted in the face of technical problems suffered by Boeing aircrafts at NAC's disposal. The national flag carrier used to operate regular flights to 16 different nations, which later shrinked to 11 amid the blacklisting by the EU. The NAC also procured 2 wide-body aircrafts to operate on long routes, but the ban has hampered the ambition of the national flag carrier. The scenario clearly highlights Nepal's lack of initiative in dealing with the European Union to lift the long-standing blacklisting of the country's aviation sector. In our Public Voice segment, we had asked in Bhaktapur, Salyan, Sunsari, among other places, what should be done to make the vaccination drive against COVID-19 more effective. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Public Voice.
रेडियो टेलिभिजनले बजाइदियो भने प्रत्येकले यो खोप चाहिँ लाउनुपर्छ लगाउनुपर्छ भन्ने खालको कुराहरु चाहिँ बुझ्थ्यो होला
काउन्सेलिङ गर्नुपर्छ उनीहरुको नकारात्मक जुन प्रभाव छ त्यो प्रभावलाई कम गर्नको लागि
गाई भैँसी चराउने अरु काम गर्ने खेती किसानी गर्ने उहाँहरुले लगाउन पाउनु भएन त्यहाँहरुलाई पनि सहज तरिकाले लगाउन सक्ने व्यवस्था गर्नु पर्यो
जाडको सिजन आउँदैछ बालबालिकालाई विशेष गरी प्राथमिकता दिएर कोरोना खोप चाहिँ अझै लगाउनु पर्छ
Time now for our segment, Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
Here's the question. What's your take on the state-owned Open University being without office bearers for the past 6 months? Your options are A, not in priority, B, procedural hassles, and C, nepotism. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. That's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Good day.